Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books.
Who would have thunk it?
So, per the title, I am talking about my May to August seasonal TBR. We're wrapping that up, talking about those books. I have talked about them already, but I like to do these wrap-ups in case anybody gives a shit, I guess. I don't know. So, the Pushinacorn pick for May to August was Daughters of Neri by Rennie K. Amayo. I did enjoy that book. That is a young adult fantasy. It's part of a series. I don't know if it's going to be like a duology or a trilogy or a longer series. I'm not real sure. Book 2 comes out next year, I believe. And I saw the cover on Twitter in the last few weeks, and oh my God, it's beautiful. And this is a fantasy based in like an African-inspired world. There is lots of African languages used. Why did I say there is? There are, oh, wow. If I remember, there's some Yoruba, there's Igbo. I think Igbo was used the most. In the back of the book, there's like a glossary telling you. And I really liked that the author like leaned into that, and I thought she did it really well, where like per context, you could tell what the word meant. I didn't even have to use the glossary, so that was cool. And I ended up giving this book a 3.5. Quite enjoyed it. I would have liked it more because it's two perspectives, these two sisters. And the one, I didn't love her chapters as the book went on. I just was way more interested in the other sisters' chapters. So anytime I was reading the one, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. If I had been more invested in hers and liked both of them more equally, I probably would have given it like a 4. It was just a really cool world. And then for my my TBR next, I picked 2 books for that, or the random generator picks 2 books for that. And the books were A Crown for Cold Silver by Alex Marshall, and then Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark, which I DNF'd. That is a book that I might come back to at a different time if I can get the audiobook. It's so motherfucking long, and it's pretty slow paced, and I just wasn't getting into it. I think I can't remember how far into it. I got like 10% or so, and I was just dragging ass. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. Maybe the audiobook someday. A Crown for Cold Silver, also I was struggling to get into, and then I got the audiobook for that, and I ended up enjoying it pretty well. I also gave that one a 3.5, and then I tried to read the second book, and I DNF'd it, and I'm DNFing the series, so ended up being kind of a bummer. The audiobook was pretty good, though. The classic choice was North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I DNF'd this as well. I think I got like, I want to say 15% to 20% maybe, if I remember. I don't really remember, but this is one that the writing was cool. It's a classic, but like the writing style I was enjoying. It reminded me of Jane Austen a bit, just that kind of witty, a little funny in certain places, how things were worded, like that dry, witty humor. And I was enjoying the writing style and the authorial voice, but the story itself, I was just like, I don't care. The nonfiction pick was Rosalie Lightning by Tom Hart, I believe. And this was a graphic novel dealing with the loss of a child from the author. It was a memoir. And it was really touching and sweet. I didn't, like, on a personal level, like, get anything out of it, but, you know, you don't have to get something out of it. I feel like it was really well done, and it was just kind of like him and his wife kind of meandering through their grief and working through their grief and going kind of on this ebb and flow roller coaster, working toward like accepting moving on, like accepting the idea of moving on. And then my reread selections, one was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It had been so long since I read this and the other one also, actually. And I just love it. I love Pride and Prejudice. I mean, I would say who doesn't, but I know there are people who don't. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's funny. I forgot how fucking hilarious their parents are. Their mom is funny because Mrs. Bennet, she's funny because she's just such a little fool. She's just a silly fool. And such a busybody and just like, oh my God. And then their dad, Mr. Bennet, was funny because he just is like, this is my life, I guess. And like just going with the flow all the time. And he's just surrounded by these women that are just like bothering him constantly. I don't know. It was just so fun. I gave it a 4.5. And I probably would have given it 5 again. I think when I read it the first time, I was like 5 stars. But in my, older years now, I found myself being pretty fucking annoyed towards the beginning with Elizabeth. And I mean, the whole thing is like she's being prideful and prejudiced and he's being prideful and prejudiced but like she very much was, and it annoyed me so much. Anyway, so it brought my enjoyment down a little bit for that like portion of the book, but like I said, I understand that it's done intentionally. Lily is behind me and she's so cute. I can see her in the mirror over here and she's all like sleeping like this. Oh, so cute. And then the other reread, which I just read recently and talked about, The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. It had been over 10 years since I read this because it was back in college and I graduated from college in 2008. So it was between 2004 and 2008 when I read this book. It's a while ago. And I remembered liking it, but I had no recollection of why or what the fuck the plot was, other than that it was sci-fi and it was on a different planet. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very slow-paced book. It's a very quiet book. Not all action-packed, kind of confusing in parts. It's got really complex, concepts and themes. But yeah, I just found myself fucking engrossed with it. And I also gave this one a 4.5. Sometimes I hear myself talk about a book and then I'm like, why am I not giving it 5 stars? But like I said, there were parts where it was kind of slow or where I wasn't as engaged, but towards the end, for sure, I was blowing through that bitch. So there we are. How many books? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So out of the 7 books, I DNF'd 2, which is pretty regular for me. I usually DNF at least 1, if not 2. Yeah, I DNF'd 2, and I quite enjoyed basically all of them. I would say the one I liked the least was probably A Crown for Cold Silver. Looking back, just because it took me so long to get into, and I had to get the audiobook to even get into it. Had I not had the audiobook, I think I would have DNF'd it for sure. And I just didn't get as invested in the characters. And I would say the one I liked the most would probably be Pride and Prejudice or The Left Hand of Darkness, which makes sense. I rated them higher. But which one? For enjoyment, I would say Pride and Prejudice. But as a book, and as a book that really made me think, The Left Hand of Darkness. The Left Hand of Darkness. Wow, I can't speak. There we are. Just wanted to real quick wrap that up. The next seasonal TBR, I already posted the video for that. It has started September to December, so I'll get back to you in January sometime about that. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.